Hey guys, it's me again, the Chief Asch, here to talk to you about another horror movie for OctoberQuest. Not a fist. Today I will be discussing with you Halloween. Halloween. Yes. Not the Rob Zombie remake, mind you, the 1978 John Carpenter original. So, I'm going to start off with, this is a classic. This movie is a standard for most all slashers, most mental issue murderers. This movie is the base of a lot of things. It predates Stephen King's It movie for the creepy clown aspect, which I wanted to bring up because I find an interesting parallel in this movie. Watching this movie now, at this point in time in history, in America, is quite a trip, actually. I didn't expect it. I've seen the movie many times, and I was like, you know what? I need to review this movie. It's good. It's definitely one of those that needs to be brought up every Halloween because that's what it is. And there's so many of them. Michael Myers is so phenomenally known, and it's one of those things that needs to come up. But here's the thing: when I popped it in to watch it again, you know what? I totally just didn't think about how similar Halloween is to this weird clown epidemic, and I referenced that in another video earlier this month. But it's kind of funny because at the very beginning of the movie, it shows Michael Myers as a little kid dressed up as a clown, and he's like creeping outside his house, outside his house, watching his sister, and he's like walking around, looking in windows, and I don't know. And when I see it, it shows him walking around in the bushes, and he like walks out. And he's watching people walk out the front, walk in the front yard, and he's essentially following his sister through the house through the windows. And I was just like, whoa, like that's so weird because that's essentially what these people are doing. They're walking up to people's windows and knocking on them to scare them at late at night and coaxing little kids into woods and stuff. Not good stuff. None of them. Not condoning any of this. This is a terrible thing. People need to quit being idiots and just not do that. But it's funny because in Halloween, I mean, as psychopathic as this kid is, he's literally just standing outside dressed as a clown, watching his sister and her boyfriend or make out, and and they end up going upstairs and having sex, and then he goes up and kills her. It's the beginning of the movie. Oh well. But and I don't know, it got me thinking oh man, I hope that's not where this is all leading to, because that's how Halloween started. But it's interesting to see it. And also a big thing that's been a thing recently is point of view action movies and stuff like that. And I remember when Doom came out in 2006, 2008 era, somewhere in there, when it had the first person shooter scene, I was like, oh, this is so cool, this is so different, no one's done this before. And I just forgot, because the whole thing where he's dressed as a clown, you're aware he's dressed as a clown because you can see his arms and stuff like that. But this may have been, and I'm not saying it is, I haven't delved too deep into it, but it's a very early example of first-person view in film. So right at the beginning of the movie, you find a lot of essentially potentially revolutionary things in this movie right in the first 3 minutes of it. And then you also have the slasher formula essentially being created through this. I mean, obviously it came after Psycho, but it's still the killer in Psycho was just regular. This is your first stereotypical now immortal killer thing, the boogeyman, essentially, because that's essentially where all our slasher flicks go, is the icon becomes the boogeyman and stuff like that. And in this, he's I think it's probably one of the only ones where he's straight up referenced to as the boogeyman. But it is definitely that situation. It's a one of a kind movie. There's a few, some of the sequels are worth the time, but really what it all comes down to is I don't know, the originality in the first Halloween movie. The getting the pale William Shatner mask, and just if you didn't know it, Michael Myers' creepy little mask is William Shatner from Star Trek. They picked it up and they just spray painted it white, and that's what it is. It's an old William Shatner mask, and now everyone sees it, so it just automatically associates it with Michael Myers, even though Captain Kirk is probably just as famous as the myth, the lore of Michael Myers, but everyone knows that as Michael Myers instead of freaking William Shatner's face, which is just that's hilarious to me. But anyway, on the movie. The movie, once again, it's your stereotypical slasher, but once again, it kind of started the whole thing. So this is definitely for nostalgic purposes, and just maybe you can, watching it compared to other things we talked about this month, like Treehouse and Redwood Massacre and things like that. It's the best thing ever to compare to the your newer movies and see how the formula has shifted or changed or stayed the same, because there's a lot of similarities, but main thing, Michael Myers is the original, walk to kill people instead of running for him kind of thing, and popping out of corners and stuff like that. And this is kind of, this is still towards the early ends of the jump scares and stuff like that. So there's not too many in Halloween, because it was very much a serial killer-esque, creepy, lurking in the shadows kind of movie, or like, there's a really awesome scene I like with Jamie Lee Curtis trying to get into a house, and she's like banging on the door. She's trying to get kids that she's babysitting to open the door, and she knows he's sleeping. She wakes him up, and she's trying to get him, and you can see Michael walking up behind her, like from far away. He's like across the street, and she knows he's coming. It's not a surprise to anybody, but you can see him walk up, and he's like coming up slowly, just walking over there while she's freaking out and trying to get in the house, and it's so fun to see that. It's very adrenaline building, where there's so she has that adrenaline, and he's so calm and cool, and he's just walking toward her because he knows she's probably not going to get in the house, and even if she does, it's not going to stop him in his mind, because obviously he gets stopped. There wouldn't be sequels if the sequels also deal with his sister. So yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis got her career started off with this movie, and she does a really good job. And it seems to me like the other actors and actresses may have kind of fallen off the wayside, because that was the nature of the slasher. Jamie Lee Curtis happened to land the principal role in this, and essentially be able to benefit from it in the future, and then she started getting more and more acting gigs because she's a fabulous actress. So congrats to her on that. It's obviously a little late in the career for that one, but regardless, she's had a really good one. So, and it's all because of this movie. So much started from this movie. This put John Carpenter into everybody's eyes. He's a household name at this point, much as Clive Barker and Wes Craven. Like, although people, us here on the Punch Button will talk about all the time, John Carpenter really started it all, and it's just really awesome to see the legacies come out. So there's I think 6 Halloween movies, and then there's 2 remakes of Halloween 1 and 2 that Rob Zombie did later in the 2000s. So it definitely has a legacy, and it's definitely something you should check out for this Halloween. So I am the Chief Asch, talking about the 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween, and keep watching.